Hello and welcome Rahul. You're watching my YouTube channel for talks, and if you're watching me consistently, welcome back to my channel. See when I come in front of you. I have a purpose. I want to instill positivity and talk something special so that you will be able to use this information, whatever I'm talking about, what I'm disseminating or whatever I'm putting forth. It will be useful if you will be inculcating these knowledge and try to implement it in your everyday, aspiration, wherever you want to go, whatever you want to achieve. If you'll have right consciousness, and right cognitive ability, you'll certainly be able to deploy it in a perfect way, because I certainly try to make you to experience the altered state of reality, which is deep even, which is really deep. If you'll be going through all these knowledge, you will feel that these are exhausting, but these are the special knowledge that if you'll inculcate a habit of going into, you can change your life altogether, because everything is connected to that very reality, though nobody talks about, or everything, nobody is able to demonstrate it in a perfect way. They are not able to convey it, but sometimes I feel that I can convey it in a simpler language, so that you can be able to interpret what are the intellectual beings a story, which they call intellectual property in certain means. They think that intellectual property is their own, asset in the sense that these human beings are only asset to the government to use it, not to provide them their own, whatever justified means and their abilities are. They're not going to provide it. They want to extract everything in minimum ways. That is what is their intention, that is what is the reality. When you understand exactly, because I'm telling you, when you enter into your graduation or before that, they mark you altogether. Everybody knows about you, what you are capable of, what are your educational qualifications, especially, and how you could be assessed. Your IQ, intelligent quotient, intellectual quotient will be measured. If you have good ability. In initial days, people can ascertain, even primary class teacher can ascertain that these boys are a little bit different and these boys are a little bit different. But certain assessment happens. The universe does its own assessment. Higher entities does do their own assessment. Even all the agencies, they do their own assessment. That is what happens. The problem is that when you enter in your adolescence, when you should be guided, they do not had any technological advancement at that very time, when ours is kind of people were assessed. So they made a narrative, alter their consciousness, try to give them a threshold, and a bandwidth in which they can be delusional. They can be a person who will have to cope, with drugs in order to find rational reality, as well as they could have access, on the thin narrow margin that they could be accessing other dimensional altered state of reality. But previously they do not have any kind of, technology that they can listen to all these frequencies. But now a little advancement has happened. So most of the time, because the target is that most of them are corrupt. Even in India, Ponga Pandits, they're already biased and they're already corrupt. That is why they take a side from beginning. That is what is their mindset. But problem is not only that. From little agencies to bigger agencies, it connects to every dimension. When you access altered state of consciousness, you deep dive into the reality where it connects from the beginning, to the last, and everything you'll be able to access, which were in history, not, literal things, but spiritual things and the ethics of unfolding of happenings. How the universe is playing its role, how entities and why they are fighting, what are their ethics, and what basis and what ground they encounter each other, and what is your standard. Because many of the time people are judged, their nature tells that what kind of people they are. Some people in the universe exist whose nature are so friendly and so better that even if you do something wrong to them, They might react, but they do not hold that animosity, that anguish for a longer period of time. They want to part their ways and they want to do their own work. Initially, they might react, they might fight with you, but thereafter, they don't have any intention to harm you. But the people who harm others and the plot, they are different. They are from dark side. And people who are especially a better nature, very few people are there. When if you harm them, they will not keep in their mind for longer period of time because it is not their nature. It is not the weight that they want to carry. Yeah, they carry the weight of their own spiritual reality. That is what is the reality that I want to tell you. That they carry the weight of spiritual dimensions of their light. Because if you'll hold light, darkness will come around, it will attack you from every dimensions, not only physical, but spiritual, mental, some other dimensions, higher dimensional. They unfold in such a way that they will try to uproot you because you are a human being and they think that you are still a human, so you cannot fight that weight. But only the human beings, better human beings can fight them. And some human beings have proved that. Gautam Buddha, Jesus, they have proved that they can overcome these challenges. So such people even exist in these days, but they are better agencies, and corrupt agencies as well, who are always making a narrative in their state, in their country, and in their internationally. So that's why they do not come in light. They are already suppressed or they are confined in their places. So what can you do? All these things you knew. So how will you start? Yeah, problem is that if you find better accessibility, if you understood all this reality and you are able to protect your cognitive ability and rational attitude somehow, then you should certainly find a better life. First of all, try to understand how you can use your skills, how you can learn faster and make a better livelihood out of that. And if you're able to maintain and sustain that livelihood, then you think what positive things you can take out of this altered state of reality consciousness. Because there are a lot of things exist still that can benefit you. Even all these agencies who were manipulating you, they don't even know what will happen. If you will emerge, if you will try to take out of the altered state of consciousness. And that is why they are also blind. But blindly they have made some points, they have interpreted and they are working on it from a long time. Even if your unit will work, they will certainly find something substantial, something perceptible in any field. If you are working from 10 years and applying each and every sophisticated technology of present time, you will certainly be able to interpret, and bring some laws, uncover some hidden laws, which will be really working because science works. Science works in that very way, science theorem and principles. If you can prove that and measure into laboratory, and if you can, approve that after verification, then it works everywhere. And that is what we have found, certain ways, certain standards. So if you will individually go through, unless you don't encounter all these realities and principles, you won't be able to understand exactly what is going on, what is brewing up, in that very mug. So you have to understand exactly all these things, and once you have knowledge, make your life standard better and access something better. You'll certainly be able to surmount all these things, and when you will overcome all these challenges, you will rise, and nobody can cast aspersions about your ability, and nobody will be taking you easier. You will be a person whose intentions, whose principle, whose special qualities will shine, and people will witness that reality. That will be a testimony for others, and others want to witness exactly what is going on. So you have to understand all this reality, and when you will overcome all this reality, you'll be a different personality altogether. So if you ask me what should you do, you can, if you will have knowledge, if you will have access to better skills, you can certainly apply to pull off something special for you. There are many things emerging, online even, artificial intelligence is coming. If you deep dive into that, digital marketing had happened, earlier 2 or 3 years before, 5 years, it made many millionaires even. not billionaire but millionaires, and who were able to capture a market, big entrepreneur, they become billionaire even. So that is what you have to find opportunities. Opportunities will come, but not only AI. Conventional opportunities are also better. You have to understand exactly how to run businesses and how to find yourself involved in that very business so that you can have better opportunities. Because it is easier to think that you become part of that very you know manipulation, but you are an individual. So your reality is at the base, what you are, what you have achieved in your physical reality. That is what is your base, where you have to anchor. And knowing all this reality, you have to navigate your path, and you have to make your path such beautiful that all these people and Punga Pandits who tried to pull you back, they will feel the heat, and that is what you have to prove. Thank you for listening to me.